going to be showing you a design that actually has a Oopsie in it. So this is a extreme 3D Easter basket that has an Easter bunny in it and some eggs. The Oopsie is that, see, I have my shirt, my dress says Oopsie Daisy. And the Oopsie is that the bunny is backwards. So I typically like my designs to point forward so that, you know, if you look at the nails this way, they're facing the front, not if they're like looking this way or facing this way, and the bunny is backwards. The basket is so symmetrical that I wasn't even paying any attention to it. And when I assembled this together after I got the bunny done, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, he is facing the wrong way. And I just went with it. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do. He's cute, whether he's facing forward, backwards, upside down, either way, really cute little bunny. I hope you like it as much as I do. And don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
So we are going to begin with an overlay of a green glitter mix. So this is not a pre-mixed glitter acrylic. This is a loose glitter in a jar and a clear acrylic in a jar. So the way that I like to do this, which is one of my favorite ways to apply a loose glitter, is that I will take a bead of clear acrylic that is on the wet side. So don't let it like fully set in the polymer for as long as you would. Say you do generally 2 taps in your polymer, or 3 taps, do 2, or 3 seconds, do 2. And then after you have that somewhat wet bead of acrylic, you're going to immediately dip that into your glitter of whatever color you choose. In this case, for me, I'm using this beautiful green mix that kind of just reminds me of a grassy field, and then you can immediately apply that to the nail. One reason I like to do that is because you have a lot of control over how much glitter you're using. So let's say you wanted just a little sprinkling of glitter, that is completely achievable, or you wanted a 100% coverage glitter nail, you can do that too without any different products or pre-mixing or remixing, and you can just kind of figure it out as you go. After that nail has been completely covered with the glitter, you saw I encapsulated it with some clear acrylic, and now I'm going to file it into shape. Now with gloved hands and a little spatula tool, I'm going to be taking some 4D gel. Now I happen to be using white. If you do have like a light pink or a light blue or a pastel yellow color, I would maybe use one of those instead, any of those Eastery pastels, but I don't, so I'm going to be using my white, and I'm going to roll it into a long snake and then carefully fit it on the nail so that it makes the bottom of the basket. So the basket's going to flare and get slightly wider as it goes up, so you don't want it to completely take over the entire nail, but you want it to be large on the nail. After you have that little basket done, I'm going to flash cure it with my flash cure flashlight, and then I'm going to go through and add a second layer to this. After I flash cured it, I did pop it in my lap for about 30 seconds. That's not a full cure, but I thought it was enough just to get the second one on there. After the second one is on, same thing, roll it into a snake, and then carefully press it on to that first row. You're going to then do a third row, and then after you have all those rows done, make sure you do fully cure this for as long as your product recommends. I would say typically a minimum of a minute. After you have that done, roll a snake, and then you're going to carefully be using it to add the cross pieces of the woven basket. So I did 3 rows on the first round of the circles, and now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do one side that has 2 little overlaps, and then the next row is going to have 1 little overlap, and keep going through around and around until you completely cover up or go around the entire circle of your basket. Then grab another snake of your 4D gel, fold it in half, twist it, and then you have that woven handle, and then press it across the middle of your basket. Kind of hold it up. Hopefully your 4D gel is stable enough that it isn't going to collapse on you, and you can kind of just place it however you want it, and then go ahead and cure that. Once this has all been fully cured and it is completely done, because I don't have the color that I was hoping for, which was a light pink, I'm going to now be painting my basket with a full coat of a pink gel paint. And the reason I'm using gel paint instead of gel polish or something else is it won't mess up that beautiful, wonderful 3D texture that I have worked so hard to make my basket. So you just want to really almost buff the gel paint in. The other benefit of gel paint is not all of them require top coat. The one I'm using specifically does not require top coat. That way I don't have to add another layer on top of this on my basket. As soon as this is all done and cured, it is done. And by the way, I did cure this periodically throughout the process so that I could grab the basket in different ways and not have to worry about getting gel paint on my gloves. Once that's done, as you saw, partway through my basket leapt off the nail, so I'm going to reattach it to the nail with some nail glue. After it has been attached with the nail glue, I'm going to fill in any little gaps around the perimeter of the bottom of the basket with some clear acrylic, just to make sure that when I go through and I add the inside color of my basket, it doesn't leak out the sides. There really isn't too much of a gap there, but better to be safe than sorry. After all of those gaps have been sealed, I'm going to fill in the middle of the basket with a bright pink glitter gel, and then I'm going to grab some mylar flakes to look like Easter grass, and I'm going to press that into that wet pink acrylic. After that's been done, we can go ahead and start sculpting our bunny. This is definitely the fun part. Everything about this design just screams bright Easter fun, but to me, sculpting this little extreme 3D bunny that is realistic and just so darn cute is by far the most enjoyable part of this design. So we're going to begin with a flat, almost silhouette view of our bunny, head and body only. Then after that's done, I'm going to just take and I'm going to build up the rest of his shape, and I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush. That's one of the biggest things, especially with making a really big 3D character or 3D animal or person or whatever it is that you're making. If you're doing something extreme, it is so tempting to just try to build it up with a couple beads and kind of get it over with and do really big amounts, because you're going to need it. It's not that the acrylic isn't going to be needed in that volume, but I can't recommend enough taking your time and doing things layer by layer so that you achieve your shape slowly and meticulously instead of quickly and hastily. Chances are, if you try to do it too quick, it won't give you enough time to really get the shape that you're hoping for, and you're going to end up with a sloppy looking bunny, needing to file a lot, or just not quite having the results that you're hoping for. On the head, I'm going to take the tip of my brush and carve a little indent for where the eye of my bunny is going to be. And now I'm going to go through and flip that bunny over and repeat this process on the other side. Because the rabbit is being seen on both the front and the back and the left and the right side, we have to make sure that he is three-dimensional and completely realistic looking from all directions. If you were sculpting a bunny that was flat against the nail, you would have a little bit of freedom to not do quite as much sculpting work, and you could still achieve a very detailed rabbit. So say you were going to want to do something like this design, but obviously you don't want it to be like this because this design isn't wearable. What I would do is I would make that 3D basket texture across the tip of the nail and then sculpt a cute, realistic little bunny in the upper nail bed area of the nail. Like I said, I know this design isn't wearable. I know a lot of people like to point that out to me, that my designs aren't wearable. It is not something that is a surprise to me. Trust me, I make things that are extreme and over the top because it's what I enjoy doing. So if you want to make it wearable and you ever have a question about any of my designs that you're like, I love this, but how would I make it so that I could actually wear it in my daily life? Just let me know. I usually have an idea of how to just alter a design so that you could certainly wear it without breaking anything or hurting anybody. After you have your bunny and he's pretty three-dimensional on both sides, you can take him off of that little bit of sticky tack that I have on my nail holder, and we can just look at him because there's probably going to be spots that need a bit more acrylic here or there. And we're going to add a little bit more detail to his cheeks and snout area. So grab that same gray acrylic, and obviously you can sculpt your bunny in whatever color combination you like. For me, a little gray bunny with a fluffy white tail is just about the cutest thing, so that is the color combination that we are going to be using. There we have the little nose started. I'm going to add just a touch of pink to the very tip of the nose. I'm not going to do too much pink. I don't want this to be over the top and exaggerated. Like I said, realism is the goal. After you have that done, I'm going to look at him and just make sure that he looks right. I'm actually going to even set him into the basket, probably forwards, maybe backwards, hard to say, and see if it looks good in the basket. As long as it looks good and he fills out the basket nicely, you can just be done and you can attach him in. Probably look at what direction your basket is facing before sticking him down. At this point, I could have easily taken him out and switched him around, but nope, I'm just going to keep going, really secure him into the basket with more clear acrylic so that he doesn't go anywhere at all. And now with some white acrylic, we're going to be adding the fluffy little tail on his butt, place down the bead of white acrylic, and then use a dotting tool dipped in some white powder just to kind of swirl that acrylic around to give it that fluffy, very light as air type of a look. Once that's done and you have the little white tail added in, which like I said before, really one of the cutest parts of a bunny, we're going to be taking another bead of the gray acrylic, setting it at the shoulder height on your bunny, and then kind of swooping it and hoisting it onto the edge of the basket. This is one of those things that depending on your acrylic may or may not work. If your acrylic doesn't have that very pliable, very stretchy, wonderful consistency, that texture that allows for this type of thing to happen, you may not be able to do it quite like that. You may have to sculpt the arms on a nail form backing and then glue them in place. Hopefully your acrylic does do what mine just did. If you haven't done anything like that before, this would certainly be a time to try, bearing in mind that your acrylic may either crack, break, or just not want to pull, or it'll just kind of like slide down into a sticky mess. It takes a lot of control and really getting your bead the exact consistency you need, but also part of it is making sure your products are working with you instead of against you. As far as just the brand goes, the acrylic I'm using is from Double Dip and my monomer is the 3D monomer from Koopa, and to me that is a winning combination for sculpting extreme things like this. I really have luck with it. So if you have had issues before and you feel like it's the product that's working against you, maybe give that combination a try. And I do have the color names in the description box below. I also sculpted my ears on a nail form backing, making like a little leaf or petal shape, folding them in half, and now I'm going to glue them onto my bunny's head. I did make exaggeratedly large ears for this rabbit. I wanted him to have that kind of over the top, really big ear look. Obviously there are different ear sizes on different types of rabbits, so I just wanted to make sure he had those really tall ears. Not necessarily like a classic cottontail type of a look, but just so cute. After you have the ears glued in place, you're going to want to take and you're going to want to add a little bit more of your gray acrylic at the base of each ear to smooth that transition so that you can't see the seam where the ear was glued on, and also to add a significant amount of strength, because before that little bit of nail glue wasn't going to hold these ears for very long. Once those ears are glued in place and attached, add a little bit of a light pink, the same one that you used on his nose, to the inside of the ear. Mine does happen to have just a touch of glitter, which I think is a very cute addition. After you have those ears done, now we're going to go through and we're going to be adding the eyes to our bunny. The good news is, because you use the tip of your brush to sort of press in the location of the eyes, it isn't really that difficult to find where they go. Make sure that where you pressed your brush in to make the eye spaces before was symmetrical from side to side. Otherwise, using them as a guide is going to automatically give you lopsided eyes. So just make sure back when you looked back and forth to make sure that your eyes were in a good place to begin with. Once those eyes are done, you can start doing some detailing on your bunny, or you can make the eggs. Typically when I'm working, I like to do all of the acrylic at one time and then all of the painting at one time, but for the video I think it's a little easier to watch finishing a step completely. So we're going to go through and we're going to do the painting on the bunny. There's not a whole lot that has to be done, especially if you used the 3 colors of acrylic, the gray, the pink, and the black. Oh, and the white. Don't forget about the tail. The 4 colors of acrylic, because all of that, base detailing of what color is where is done for you. But I'm going to take some different shades of light gray and add a little bit of highlighting around the eyes and ears, and then some darker gray and add a little bit of shading here and there. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not even going to overdo the amount of hair texture that I'm going to paint in, just because I want to keep it kind of simple. And a lot of times rabbit fur is so soft and smooth, you don't necessarily see the individual hair texture. Apply a layer of matte top coat over the places where there is acrylic paint. Apply some gel sealer over the grass on the tip of the nail. And then we're going to go through and we're going to make our Easter eggs. I'm going to sculpt 3 Easter eggs just like I started my bunny. I'm going to start them on a nail form backing just to kind of get that basic shape done. I think this is the easiest way to start anything that's going to be built up off the nail, just because it gives you a good way to kind of get just the basic shape down and then be able to peel it right off the nail form backing without any struggle, and then finish off the shape later. If you've never tried this method before, I highly recommend it. One thing to kind of keep in mind with it is that your acrylic will be a little bit more slippery on a nail form backing. It'll spread out a little easier, and it'll be a little almost more difficult to get an exact shape out of it, because you have to keep pushing it and it'll just keep spreading out until it begins to solidify and to really cure. So you might have to play around with it a little more than normal. Once those eggs are done though, you can take them off of the nail form backing, round out each side as much as you can or you need to. Once they're done, if you want to file them a little bit, you certainly can. Otherwise, go through with your acrylic paint and start adding details to your Easter eggs. You can add stripes, swirls, polka dots. You could even have used a swirl acrylic combination as far as the color goes from the beginning if you had wanted to, in order to give them a swirly pattern. You could make some glitter on them. You could, whatever you want on your Easter eggs. You could make them completely solid colored. However you want to decorate your Easter eggs, really sky's the limit. Have fun with it. One thing I would recommend is to make each of them slightly different so that they aren't all just exactly the same. And then after you have all of your little Easter eggs painted with your pastel colors or your glitter or your swirl or whatever it is you're doing, I'm going to dip them into some jewelry gel and then place them on the nail. After I dip and place each one, I'm going to flash cure them with my flash cure flashlight. There's the first egg. Here goes in the second egg. I'm going to do 2 in my basket. The bunny butt didn't leave a whole lot of room for the third one. So for my third egg, I'm going to place it in front of the basket, right in front of where the bunny is. Just like that, the jewelry gel will hold these in place. After you have flash cured them, you do want to make sure you put them in your lamp to fully cure, and then apply a layer of 3D glaze over the top of them to give them a satin-like sheen. After that is done, this whole design is done. It is so cute. I hope you guys like it. And if you do decide to try it out, I would love to know whether you place the bunny forwards or backwards, just because it does certainly look cute this way, even though I would typically turn that around a little bit so that he's facing out instead of towards the rest of my hand. But I do love it. I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to my future videos as well. Bye!